Hello everyone, welcome back to The Last Lap. In today's video, we are going to be talking about this weekend's races at Texas Motor Speedway. We're going to be talking about all of that, but before we hop into it, just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really does go a long way. And you can also check us out on Instagram at The Last Lap News. We also have, speaking of news, we have some news to share with you guys as well. A bunch of stuff came out this week, but as always, I have to introduce my friend and co-host Matthew, who is back home for the weekend on fall break, so obviously great to see him back in his home. We're actually going to hang out tomorrow for a little bit, go to an old high school football game, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But Matthew, how you doing heading into this weekend?
Well, I'm glad that I'm back home with this as the background. I miss my old background for these videos, so I'm glad I'm back, and it's gonna be a fun few days off. I need it. It's been a long couple weeks for me, but other than that, I'm not looking. We'll see how Texas goes. I don't really have a lot of faith in this race being good, but we'll see.
Alright, so yeah, we're halfway there as far as college goes. I'm just finishing up week 8, so halfway there. We're almost done. Well, we're halfway there, so almost done. But hopping straight into the news. So this week there's a next-gen test at the Roval. There were several teams that participated. Several teams had multiple cars out there. I know Hendrick Motorsports had 2 cars. Joe Gibbs Racing had 2 cars. 2311 had a car. Penske had 3 cars, including the 21. So, and a bunch of other teams as well were there. So this is the first major test session for the next-gen cars. Most of the cars had several paint schemes as well, so that was really cool. Some of them were kind of concept paint schemes, some of them were legit ones, so it was really cool to see all the cars on track. My favorite paint scheme was, I think my favorite was the Trackhouse racing car. That was a really good car. I really loved that race car. But it was a great test session. We got to see all the new cars on track for the Roval. It was a Monday and Tuesday session. They were there pretty much all day for both days, so hopefully NASCAR was able to get a lot of data there, and hopefully we'll be able. I know there's going to be another test at the actual Charlotte Oval in November, so that'll be great to see and see what else NASCAR can learn with these cars. Some silly season news. John Hunter Nemechek will be returning to Kyle Busch Motorsports next season. It's a little bit of a surprise for me to see him there. I thought he might jump up to the Xfinity Series and Joe Gibbs Racing, but apparently the rumor is that they might only run 2 full-time drivers and a third kind of part-time car next year instead of 4 cars, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So John Hunter Nemechek returning to KBM. Some other news: the 2311 charter that was apparently bought from Front Row was revoked or something like that. Apparently Front Row Motorsports pulled a Uno reverse card, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't want to sell it anymore. Thanks for your time. So apparently 2311 doesn't have that second charter now, but I'm sure they'll find another one before the season gets started next year. And the last piece of news is that NASCAR apparently had a meeting with several people involved with Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott to basically say, hey, we've seen enough as far as you guys trying to tear each other's stuff up on track. That's enough. Let's end this. So NASCAR, very clear. They made a warning saying, hey, that's enough, which is great in my eyes as a Chase Elliott fan, because hopefully, I think it's, as far as both drivers trying to get back at each other, I think it's pretty much even as of now. Kevin Harvick took his shot, didn't really work as far as the playoffs go, but anyways, so I think it's good that NASCAR kind of stepped in here and said, hey, that's enough. We've seen enough of you guys going back and forth with each other, saying this about that guy, that about the other guy, taking swipes at this guy, hitting this guy, doing all that. So I think NASCAR made the right move here, stepping in after a few weeks. Each driver got their fair share of action on the track at the other one, so I think it's good NASCAR stepped in here. But that's all the news for right now, and then now Matthew's going to talk about whatever he wants to talk about as far as that news is concerned.
Well, as for the testing that happened earlier this week, it was interesting to see all these teams out getting Larson with these new cars. I liked what I saw. One instance that I really liked was that brand new 2017 that was announced earlier this weekend. It's a long name. I just know this team is from like the NASCAR Euro Series and it's partnering with a truck team. And Jacques Villeneuve, the former F1 driver, was testing in that car, and they had a moment which was interesting to see. Like it was coming from out the road course section to the first oval turn, and he basically almost lost it and basically was hit straight for the wall. But with those new brakes that they have, the bigger brakes, they were able to stop that car way much faster than if it was a Gen 6 car. So it was cool to see that in action. Other than that, it was a great test. I love the Trackhouse car, and I heard NASCAR's bringing back the chrome numbers, which is amazing. I think the Wood Brothers are going to go crazy with the chrome numbers. Maybe Trackhouse too, but it's great to hear that as well. For the John Hunter Nemechek news, that was surprising to me. I was very certain he was going to be in JGR Xfinity, but I think it's his choice. I guess not enough. Sponsorship didn't come in handy, or maybe JGR has another driver lined up. I don't know, but it was it's great for KBM still. I mean, you're going to get back a driver who, as of right now, in my opinion, is the championship favorite and could win the championship. We'll just have to see how Martinsville and Phoenix go, but it's great for KBM, and I guess we'll see what JGR does for Xfinity in terms of their lineup. I don't think they should bring Brandon Jones back. I think he's an absolute waste of a spot, but it is what it is. And for the 2311 charter thing, that was surprising as well. You would think with Michael Jordan, of all that money, he would be able to just buy that. You think he'll be able to buy that charter, no problem. But I guess front row, I guess maybe they have a second driver in line for next season. I guess they changed their mind because they found a driver that brought sponsorship and they could field two cars. So maybe it doesn't make sense to me. I think there should be a single car team next year for front row. I mean, that 38 car has done absolutely nothing the whole time, so why not just focus on McDowell? But it is what it is on that one as well. And 2311 will get another charter. They got enough money for that, so I got faith in them. And as for the whole Harvick and Elliot thing again, and NASCAR telling them, I mean, you can tell them all they want, but they're still stubborn drivers, that's for sure. And I'm glad I'm going to Martinsville because I feel like something might happen again. I mean, they might not. They might be done with it, but I'm just keeping in mind that something might happen in Martinsville. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if one of those two does something that ends up getting them suspended. It better not be Chase because that could affect the the playoffs if he does something. If he's focusing on Harvick more in the playoffs, so he's got to be careful with that. And Harvick, he's got nothing to lose now since he's out of the playoffs now. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see if they truly moved on for it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I don't think Chase really is thinking about it because he's in the round of 8 now, and he's obviously going for a championship here. Maybe next season, potentially, he might consider, giving Harvick a little bump here and there, or I don't know. But, yeah, Harvick, I don't know. We were talking about this a tiny bit before the show. I'll get through this really quick. But I feel like NASCAR needs to have a bigger penalty for that. Like, taking out a playoff driver if you're not in the playoffs intentionally, like, I feel like it's got to be more than, like, a suspension and a fine. I don't know what the penalty should be, but I feel like it needs to be bigger. Because yeah, but was he still in the playoffs? I don't remember.
No, he wasn't in the playoffs. He wasn't.
Oh, okay.
He got knocked out because of Joe Logano.
I feel like they need to have a bigger penalty for that, but oh well. Hopping into really quick, I want to talk about the playoff standings. I want to talk about these playoff standings really quick going into this round This round is going to consist of Texas, Kansas, and Martinsville before we set the final four in Phoenix for the Xfinity and the Cup Series. The trucks just have one more race before the next round, but Xfinity and Cup, they both have these three races before the final race at Phoenix. But for the Cup Series standings, we have Kyle Larson in the lead, healthy 42-point cushion, and then everybody else is not safe. It is a very tight gap between everybody else. As you guys can see, Denny Hamlin +7, Truex +6, Ryan Blaney +1, and then Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott -1 and 2, Logano -11, Keselowski -16. So very tight playoff standings going into this round of 8. This might be the tightest round of 8 I've ever seen, to be honest, besides, obviously Kevin Harvick had a decent points lead last year, but as far as everybody else is concerned, 2nd through 6th, only separated by 9 points. This might be the tightest round of 8 we've ever seen. So it's going to get intense these next 3 weeks. But we're going to go ahead and hop into our predictions for Texas. Matthew, you have the floor for your Xfinity pick, so go ahead and tell me who you got.
Let's see. For Texas, it's a hard one. I feel like there's a couple of good ones that are going to be in this field, and I'm going to go with my gut here. I'm going to go with A.J. Allmendinger again. I think he's been getting better these mile and a halves. He won Atlanta last year. He won at Vegas earlier this year. And like I said, I think A.J. Allmendinger is the favorite to win the championship right now because this whole second half of the season he's been on a tear. So I got A.J. Allmendinger as my Xfinity pick.
So for me, I'm going to go with the guy who almost won this race last year. I'm going to go with Noah Gragson. So if you guys remember last year at Texas, Harrison Burton made a pass on Noah Gragson, and Rick Allen made the famous call, Harrison Burton turns left.
He turns left.
And that was quite the call.
That's why I love Rick Allen sometimes.
But I'm going to go with Noah Gragson. He's been pretty strong in these playoffs as well, and I think he could get some redemption here at Texas, so I'm going to go with him as my Xfinity pick, and I'm going to go ahead and hop straight into my Cup picks as well. So my number 1 pick has to be the guy, Kyle Larson. He won the All-Star race here at Texas in the spring/early summer, and he's one of the favorites every week, if not the favorite, so I'm going to go with him as my first pick. My second pick is going to be Denny Hamlin because he has shown up in these playoffs as well. Already has 2 wins, one at the mile and a half at Las Vegas. So I'm going to go with him as my second pick. And then my third pick is going to be the guy who won this race last year, and Kyle Busch. So he's going to be my third pick. He's been pretty good on these 550 races. It's been a little bit of a while for him since he got a win, but he's been pretty strong at these 550 tracks all season. So I'm going to go with Kyle Busch as my third pick. So Matthew, who you got for your 3 Cup picks?
Well, my first pick is going to be Martin Truex Jr. I feel like he's been picking it up a little bit in the ever since the playoffs started. He's been on a drought a little bit during the summer, and he almost won this race last year. Speaking of with Kyle Busch winning, he finished second last year. So I got Martin Truex Jr. Second pick is gonna be Chase Elliott. I feel like he's gonna be good there as well. And then my third pick is going to be Ryan Blaney because I feel like Ryan Blaney has also been better at these mile and a halves. Like Atlanta, he won earlier this year. So I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney as my third pick.
I would definitely watch out for Ryan Blaney. I think he has a legitimate chance of possibly making the Final Four, whether it's a win this week or next week at one of these 550 tracks or just running well on points. So I'll look out for Ryan Blaney. He's a solid pick for this week at Texas. And so do you have any other closing thoughts before we go ahead and wrap the episode up?
That next gen test was fun to watch. I just wish people were talking more about how the test went instead of crying about the number placements as always, since that was announced months ago, but here we are, we're still crying about it. So I wish everybody can just start talking more about the test itself. But, it is what it is. But from Well, also the next gen test was great. I heard there was some things that needed to be tweaked on, like the cooling and the steering, but apparently those were like it's nothing like unusual during these type of tests. So other than that, it's great to see the next gen cars, and we'll see. We'll have to enjoy these final 4 races left of of these you know normal 4 tire pit stops, and the Gen 6 cars.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the numbers go, I thought a few of them actually looked pretty good. Like the 99 looked really good. Bubba's car looked really good. I don't really remember that many others off the top of my head, but those two look pretty good in my opinion. There were a few that didn't look that good, but I'm sure they're still adjusting and tweaking to how they should look and all of that. But yeah, the next gen test, it was great to finally get a big group test session, and they were there for 2 days, pretty much all day. So it was great to see the cars on track, and it was available via stream, so people could actually watch it. So that was really cool for fans to be able to watch that pretty much all day for those 2 days. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of news and stuff to talk about this week, and we're heading into the round of 8. This is where things get intense as far as the playoffs go. We will come out with our review video probably on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how long the race goes on Sunday. But until then, we will see you guys in our next video.